Okay, so the final way for today that we will create a title will be to create a Photoshop title. Now we could just launch Photoshop and specify the correct dimensions of the file, but if instead we launch Photoshop from Premiere, then it will adopt the dimensions of the video that we're using here. So if I go to File, New, Photoshop File, then it's going to read the sequence settings and create the right dimensions. So I'll click OK, and then it will ask me what to name this Photoshop file. So I'll call it PSD Title1, and then Photoshop will launch, and automatically Photoshop will place horizontal and vertical guides that correspond to our safe action and safe title area, so that's really handy. And the file is transparent, so we're going to have alpha transparency built in, so we're not going to have to worry about chroma keying or luma keying our title. So I'll just build a title now. Okay, so flash forward in time, and I've added a gradient shape at the bottom by using the pen tool to create this wavy line, and then creating a path which I converted into a selection, which I then filled with the gradient tool. I've added a photo in a multiply blend, and I've just masked out a region of that. Here's my name with a drop shadow. The white part here that overlaps should hopefully have a dark background when it's overlaid on the video. And then here again there's some text underneath without the drop shadow. So if I save this, file save, you'll see that automatically in Premiere this Photoshop title appears, and I can simply drag this onto my title, onto my video sequence, sorry. And there we are. Oh, right. Well, it does cover a little too much of my face. I can reposition it here in Premiere, but if I just go back to Photoshop, you'll see that any changes I apply will be automatically updated. I'm just going to mask out a portion of that. Oops, I always do that. Control-Shift-I, select inverse, mask, and save. Let's see how that now looks. Let's just move the text down, so this layer and this layer will move down so that it's just within the safe text area, and this layer, just going to move them down a little as well. Save. There we go, that's quite nice, I like that. Now the Photoshop file appears in our sequence as simply a single clip. Now if I wanted to be able to view the independent layers of the Photoshop file, then I wouldn't be able to place it the way that I did by creating a new Photoshop file. But if I were to import it, it should preserve all of the layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save a copy of this. Let's say that we're going to interview Rob as well. So I'm just going to edit this text. And this text. Oops. Now I won't save this as the same file, I'm going to save this as something new. So File, Save As, we'll call this Photoshop Title 2. Okay. Now this obviously won't have impacted on the Photoshop File 1 that is in our Premiere project. But if I import, File, Import, my Photoshop file, Photoshop Title 2. I get a number of import options, and what it asks me here is, do I want to bring in all of the layers merged, or do I want to bring them in as individual layers, which I can do. So if I click OK, what we've now got is a folder filled with all of those individual layer elements. So I can drag the whole folder. Oops, no, that won't work. If I drag the whole folder, it's going to place them all one after the other. If I place them on and stack them up on separate layers, this allows me to animate each element, and again I can press Shift D to create a default dissolve and pretend for a moment that I am actually Rob, and then our title will appear like this. And I clearly put them in the wrong order. But hopefully you get the idea of how I can use those separate layer elements as separate shapes or pieces of text that can dissolve in independently or wipe in independently of each other.